morning person? One of us is, and one of us is definitely not. Mainly because when I wake up in the morning, it just takes a while for me to feel like I get my energy back. It takes a lot of time and coffee. Cells don't really have that luxury. They are busy performing cell processes all the time, and many of the processes. ATP energy. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It's a type of nucleic acid actually, and it is action-packed with 3 phosphates. Let's take a look at these formula. Remember that reactants are on the left side of the arrow, and products are on the right side of the arrow. These formula, by the way, looks remarkably similar to photosynthesis. Look how the reactants and products just seem to be on the different sides. So photosynthesis makes glucose and cellular respiration breaks glucose. Cellular respiration involves 3 major steps. Number 1 is glycolysis. This step takes place in the cytoplasm, and this step does not require oxygen. Glucose, the sugar from the formula, is converted into a more usable form called pyruvate. It actually takes a little ATP energy itself to get this process started. The net yield from this step is approximately 2 ATP molecules and 2 NADH molecules. NADH is a coenzyme and it has the ability to transfer electrons, which will be very useful in making even more ATP later on. Krebs cycle. This is also called the citric acid cycle. We are now involved in the mitochondria. This step requires oxygen. The pyruvate that was made is converted and will be oxidized. Carbon dioxide is produced. We produce 2 ATP, 6 NADH, and 2 FADH2. FADH is also a coenzyme like NADH and will be also assist in transferring electrons to make even more ATP. The electron transport chain. This is just a beautiful thing, really. We're still in the mitochondria and we do require oxygen for this step. This is a very complicated process and we are greatly simplifying it by saying that electrons are transferred from the NADH and FADH2 to several electron carriers. They are used to create a proton gradient. The protons are used to power an amazing enzyme called ATP synthase. Remember that the word synthase means to make, so that's what ATP synthase does. All the time, it makes the ATP by adding phosphates to ADP. Oxygen is the final acceptor of the electrons. When oxygen combines with 2 protons, you get H2O, aka water. The electron transport chain produces a lot of ATP compared to the other 2 steps. There isn't an exact number in this. Many textbooks will say 34 ATP, meaning that the net amount of ATP made when you add all the steps together is 38 ATP. If we look at our formula again, we can see how the glucose and oxygen on the reactant side was used to produce carbon dioxide and water as a waste product and ATP energy. Now this was just one way of creating ATP energy, and very efficient way at that. But like we had said at the beginning, all cells have to make ATP energy, but the way that they do it, it can differ. If there's no oxygen available, some cells have the ability to perform a process known as fermentation. There is also a demand for increased research on various mitochondrial disorders. Many mitochondrial disorders can be deadly because the role of the mitochondria in our body cells is so essential for our ATP production. We are confident that the understanding of how to treat these disorders will continue to improve as more people like you ask questions. Well, that's for this video. Get out there in science.